I usually start off the podcast, but I feel like because Kevin had a decent icebreaker question that Mazza didn't really like, but I feel like you should start it off. So on today's podcast, Kevin's going to start it off.
Yeah, look. In the company, I'm the one with the sort of half the time it's genius, half the time it's completely stupid ideas.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's stupid.
Fine lines.
So I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So chicken burgers are called chicken burgers because they have chicken. I was wondering why beef burgers are called beef burgers and not cow burgers. Why do you think that is?
Do you want me to be a nerd about it?
Yeah.
All right. So technically, a burger is actually the patty. So that's where it came from in America. So if they're saying I'm eating a burger, it's always beef. Chicken, they call it chicken sandwich. So you get a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, Popeye's chicken sandwich, McChicken sandwich. That's what it is because it doesn't have the beef. And so the burger relates to the patty, which came from Hamburg in Germany. So hamburger, and then you got cheeseburger, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's not called a cow burger because it's like, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Even the camel burger is called camel burger.
Yeah, even the camel.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Here in Australia, sorry, that's where it leads on to as well. So here in Australia, we call everything between two burger buns a burger.
Yeah.
So camel burger, D burger. I don't know if you guys have had that before. That's like popular during Ramadan. But yeah, and now chicken burgers, of course. And so I've made so many videos calling chicken burgers, and I just get slandered by Americans who were like, "That's not a burger," you know.
No, that's completely true.
It's all the time.
I was actually born in the States, and my parents also kind of learned English culture in the US, and they always call it chicken sandwich.
Yeah. It like technically makes sense, and I tried it. I had a 1 month phase where I was calling it a chicken sandwich, but everyone just assaulted me like, "You're not American," whatever. It's like calling. Yeah, no, you can't. So you're getting one side or the other. I'm like, I'll just stick with the Aussies. You know, I live here. Like, it's get dangerous if I upset them.
Are most of your viewers American?
No, I'd say I checked my analytics today actually. 60-something% Aussie, 15% American, and it like dwindles down. It's like Canada, NZ, UK, and then just random countries. Yeah. Got like 5% in Sweden though, which is pretty interesting.
Sweden.
It's pretty cool.
Vikings are watching.
Yeah.
Solid, yeah.
You know, raid me for my burgers.
So for your TikToks, how do you pick like which country you're doing next?
Because you do have that series, countries,
Yes.
burgers around the world.
That's been like a gold mine for me. Like, it's just so much views,
Yeah,
traction,
there is.
excitement.
Yeah. I was looking at it just before you came.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
it's
wanted to
worked out.
ask you. I'm like, I'm Turkish. You don't have Turkish.
Yeah.
He's Pakistani. There's no Pakistani. He's
Yeah.
Indonesian. No Indonesian.
Indonesian's
He's
coming
South
soon.
African
Africa.
and no South African.
Yeah.
So if you were to make a Turkish burger,
hmm
what are you putting in there?
So definitely the mint garlic sauce. I don't want to call it tzatziki, otherwise you might get offended. Tzatziki. It takes some research because what I do, I like to. It's a burger inspired by.
Right.
So I'll be making a burger, let's say for the Indian one, and I had all these comments. We've never eaten that before. What is this? I've never seen this. It's like not meant to be something you regularly eat. Besides from the Lebanese one, it's taking a marinade and turning that into a sauce. Taking a slow cooked dish and making that into the patty. It's twisting and turning and allowing me to be a bit creative, and for you as a viewer, if you're from that ethnicity, be like, oh wow, that's pretty clever. But back to how I choose them, pretty much, I don't know. I'll just be thinking about ideas, about countries, and if something clicks, then I'll run with it.
So you've never thought about us at all?
You've been suggested, but if it requires that much more brain power and bandwidth, I'm like, okay, next.
He looks at his analytics
So-
of like who's watching me the most.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's no Turkish people watching.
That's what I did for after Queen Elizabeth died. I straight away went for England because I was like, you know what,
Jump on the
traction.
trend.
Opportunistic.
Yeah,
How'd
so
that
that
go?
worked out. That was pretty good. Everyone's like, are you doing this because she passed? I'm like, no way, I'll never. That was disrespectful. Yeah, so it worked out.
So tell me, where did all this start? You're clearly a very young man. Have you always been a foodie? Is that sort of, was it, I used to cook with mum and then started cooking after that? Or where did all this journey begin?
Nah, not really. So everyone has that traditional story. I was in the kitchen when I was 3 years old. My mum wouldn't let me near the kitchen, not even to do the dishes, like as a chore. I'd end up with water everywhere and dishes half dirty. And I was terrible in the kitchen. But obviously I like to eat, so I was just a massive eater. My mum would always feed me. I did get fat for a bit, but luckily it didn't stay too much. But yeah, just love to eat. And so eventually I got a job at Macca's, and that's when I realized, hey, if I'm behind the wheel, I can make the food even better. So that got me excited. So from McDonald's, I would go home, make burgers, and just make them as big as I can. 4 patties. Sorry, my eyes are a bit. 4 patties, extra cheese, add in this ingredient, that ingredient. And it went from making the biggest monstrosities in the kitchen to then, being like, okay, I'm getting a bit sick eating this much. Let's see how I can refine it, make it better. And so I'd hit the internet, hit YouTube, look up burger history, burger styles all across the world. What I settled on was smash burgers, and seeing how the most successful businesses in my eyes would be Shake Shack and In-N-Out overall, not just monetarily wise. I don't know if that grammar's correct. But yeah, just seeing how they run their business, how they have their following, their community, their menu, just seeing how they do things. So I was inspired by them, and I copied their style. So I copied Shake Shack style, which is a smash burger. They didn't invent it, but it's a popular method around there. And yeah, I tweaked my sauce. I copied this guy's sauce, that guy's sauce, see how I can make it my own. And yeah, it's just repetition of being in the kitchen, making things, testing it, and then going back. It's a hobby as well, so it's just very sustainable when it's a hobby, because I'm enjoying it at the end of the day. And that's what allowed me to, refine the recipe and end up with what I got now.
You talk about making monstrosities. I'm one of my personal pet peeves. I know a lot of people out there like tail burgers. I find them completely pointless.
Yeah.
It is such an illogical way of eating something. You're eating it and half of it's just coming out the back. It makes absolutely no sense.
I like the passion there. It's very true.
I'm a very finicky eater.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I want to have a burger, it's got to be grab and go, easy, convenient
like
to
fork
eat.
And knife fruit.
You need a fork. I wouldn't mind a
That's
fork
how
and knife.
Zena was doing. My sister was eating a fork and knife the other day.
These are people who
That's
have a
too
fork and
much.
knife with their pizza. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
You don't want to make a mess all over your clothes. You want to keep it pretty clean. So, what's your take on tail burgers?
It doesn't end up becoming a burger. So I've done those burgers obviously for the gimmick, and like when I hit a milestone on TikTok, I hit 900K. I made a 9-patty burger. But the way you eat it, you don't just unhinge your jaw like an anaconda.
Yeah.
You eat it layer by layer, and even I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jay Webby.
I've heard of him, yeah.
So popular competitive eater coming up through the ranks, in Australia. You see him take on these tower burgers. He doesn't eat them like a burger. He eats them patty by patty.
Deconstructed.
Yeah, and so at that point, you're just eating patties. You're not eating a burger.
Yeah.
The burger needs to have the ingredients, the sauce, the bun, the patty, obviously, so all together. So yeah, you've raised a very good point. You're eating patty by patty when it's a tower burger. And I feel like this is taking shots at anyone else who does tower burgers. You're overcompensating,
Yeah.
If you want to put in this ingredient and secret maple glazed, honey nuggets, you're taking away from what the burger should be, which is a great patty, great sauce, well toasted bun, and simple ingredients. That's why you come to my Chebbos Burgers food truck and soon Charlotte restaurant. We have 5 burgers on the menu, and they're all very simple: lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles and onion. One that's similar to a Big Mac, like the build. Lettuce, tomato, onion, caramelized onions, and extra sauce. Like very simple burgers, because I'm so confident in our special sauce and our patties, the smash patty. That's all you need.
Making me hungry now.
Yeah.
We should go
Oh,
after
yeah,
this.
Give me much
There's
more.
one thing, because I'm in marketing, right? There's one thing that I really admire of what you've done and the way you market Chebbos. I think it's incredible. Because one thing I find with a lot of Muslim companies, Muslim-run businesses, is that the marketing isn't always up there. And it's not modern and all that stuff, right? And you've nailed it. I'm assuming Chebbo is your nickname from school and whatnot. So you've got that, the colors, everything's just flawless. And you've used the power of social media at an extremely young age. You're 21, 22, right?
22, yeah.
22. And you've absolutely skyrocketed. Considering young people, 20, 21, 22-year-olds are out there partying and chasing drop shipping dreams and whatnot.
Yeah.
You've stuck up to it and created this solid brand, right? So my question is, the Chebbos conglomerate that you're trying to build is reliant on you.
Yeah.
So there's a key person risk. What happens if there's no Ali Chebani anymore to Chebbos?
That's a very good point.
Who's going to take over your TikToks? What's the game plan here? What's the succession plan? You just don't know what will ever happen.
So is this if I disappear? Okay. So I'm trying to separate as we go along and as I grow, put a very fine line between Chebbo's Burgers and Chebbo, the personality, the brand, and me, of like just as in who I am and stuff I do on social media. Because eventually I feel like it will limit the business if I continually tie it to me
100%.
and revolve it around me. I want to build it to a point where it's running very smoothly. It's got its own teams and everything, and I'm not, the labor, and I'm not the only fire behind it. And it is scary, thinking, all right, what if I disappear? Is everything going to go? And I've tested it through not working at the truck for, I think at one point it was like a month straight, and people still coming back. If I'm there, they're like, oh, you're here. If I'm not, they're still there for the good food. So I'm trying to, at the end of the day, the product's good enough. It's great, actually, the product's great, so that people are still coming back regardless if I'm there. The team's performing well enough so that I don't have to be there supervising and micromanaging and all that kind of thing. And so the business should be fine at this point after, I've left and taken steps back in, to be fine as it is. But yeah, it is always a concern to see how things will go.
Because on social media, like, you got to always stay relevant.
Yeah.
Right. And it's almost like you're in the mercy of algorithms, because you see on TikTok and social media platforms where you're following someone and all of a sudden they disappear because some other influencers are taking over. Right. So you got to always have this mental strength to always be relevant.
Yeah.
And you stuck to that for quite some time now. Props to you, right?
Yeah.
Because usually on social media, people will start YouTube channels, TikTok accounts, blah, 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 and it wouldn't take off for a couple of weeks or even a month or 2 months. You're like, okay, I'm done. Right, so you stuck to it. So props to that, right? I remember like just before you even rocked up, when we locked you in for the podcast, we were talking, Maza especially, right? He's like, he's young and he's done all this. It's incredible, right? And I remember I'm guilty of this. And I was on TikTok back a year ago, and I saw you, right? You had like barely any followers, like absolutely barely any followers. Gave you a follow, followed you for a bit, and then you just died. Right, you just disappeared from my algorithm. Yeah. So there is that chance of happening as well. So again, you being in the mercy of the algorithm, are you worried that you got to continuously be on TikTok for you to stay relevant, for Chebbo to be relevant? Or are you confident enough where if you're like, all right, I'm going to give up on social media?
Yeah.
Are you strong enough to be like, all right, I'm done. Business will still keep coming. Or do you think your brand is just way too tied into TikTok and your social media following?
I don't think it's tied now. I feel like we've established enough to the point where if the personality were to die, people will still be coming back. But it is scary. So like you mentioned about the staying on top of things and keeping relevant. Before I came up with this Burger Around the World series, I was still posting videos and they were still doing all right, like at least 100,000 views each, which for my standards is like good, but not like the best. It was treading water, and there's only so much time you can tread water before you eventually drown us and sink, whatever it is. So yeah, it is a big mind game. You're at the mercy of trends and competition. Like back in the day, I was recording off my phone, like holding it with my hand, filming as I would go, and then at the end, while I'm eating the burger that I just made, I'd edit it on iMovie, and that's it, posted. We're good. Now I have to bring out a massive lighting set and professional camera and buy this new lens and learn how to use a camera, which I had no business with besides, taking gym selfies, Yeah. I've had to adapt and learn and stay on top of all this stuff because that's the new standard. That's competition. I can't compete with a Nick Giovanni or a Andy Cooks if I'm not up to that standard. So yeah, it's a matter of just keeping up with it regardless of the numbers and the social media results. But back to the question, I would say if I were to give up on the social media, the impact of Chebbo and my name is out there enough to the extent that if I were to give it up completely, it'd still be in the back of people's minds. Like we still remember our favorite footy players from back in the day, and that's what I like to compare it to, And like you still see Sonny Bill Williams or a Willie Mason from the Bulldogs. I don't know if footy players. I'd still get excited even though they haven't been on the pitch in like 15 years. And that's the sort of impact I want to have, where obviously I'm going to get married soon. I'm going to have kids soon. How sustainable is this? I still want to be well loved and well known so that even if I have to leave it, the legacy and impact is still there. And that the burgers can still do well regardless.
On the topic of TikTok, so what I noticed about that platform is that nowadays, or maybe even for a long time, when people find something that gets views,
Mhm.
they do that again and again and again, like a gold mine, as you said. So, for example, the toilet plunger people that chuck it on the sign,
Yeah.
I think they're still doing that exact same
That's
thing.
funny, man.
Mhm.
But you are a creative guy,
Yeah.
and creative people want to express themselves in different ways.
Yep.
Do you ever worry that this gold mine can become like it's like a blessing and a curse? Because like,
Yeah.
what if people start putting you in a box?
Yeah. It can be if I allow it to be. So back in the day, the burger videos were doing so well when I was first coming up, and that's what everyone knew me for. But I enjoyed running at that time. I'm not sure if you guys paid attention to it, but I had a running series where I would document every time I went for a run, and they would get like 10,000 views each. But people, I had a small community who loved them, and relative to the burger videos, they weren't doing very well at all. So there was no like monetary or growth incentive to keep posting them. But I enjoyed it, and I didn't let the numbers and stuff get to me. So people can do whatever they want. People can hate me. People can do whatever. But at the end of the day, I can only let it limit me if I allow it to. And I held the idea that that series was like, just rubbish, me mucking around, whatever. But even to this day, when I speak to people in public and whatever, they're like, oh yeah, you inspired me to go on a few runs back in the day. And even if it was back in the day, I was like, that's insane. I had the power to, get you off the couch and start going for a run and doing something you never thought you'd do. It's like insane. And like I mentioned before, the production quality was nothing. Me putting up a camera, I just did 5 kilometers. It was pretty good. Just doing that, 3 times a week had such an impact. Yeah, so
The burger guy is the running guy as
exactly.
well.
And so it shows like I can do whatever I want. I can make myself wherever I want to be. There was a time where I got sick of burgers. I was doing briskets and stuff like that, and that's people follow me there. There will be people who like say this or say that, but yeah, I feel like you're only limited by what you let people limit you by.
I would imagine that because you are so young and you're an entrepreneur, you'd have had a lot of naysayers where other people would have said, why are you wanting to go into this? Maybe, go study or do a trade or something like that. Why go out on your own and start a business? It's not going to work out. Have you experienced that?
Back in the start, yeah. So now, alhamdulillah, like nothing, because people have seen where it's come and where it's be able to get me. But when I first started, everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, it's a bit silly. My parents didn't not support me, but I could tell they were still worried, But they've been, like, my mum's day one to even now, she still helps me. So very grateful for their support. But there are a few, like, weird looks and whatever. Nothing really to my face. But there's bound to be, there was bound to be naysayers. I mean, people apply their own limiting beliefs onto you. If someone tried their own business or they saw their friend fail, that's what they know about it. Someone starts a burger truck and they fail. They know burger trucks to fail, and so if you go start one, they're going to think your one's going to fail. It's just people imposing their own, limiting beliefs, like I said. So yeah, it sort of stung at the start, but then I sort of channeled it into all right, well, watch me do it. Almost like a rebellious kind of chip on my shoulder. And that really, really helped. Even now, there are a few online. I saw one comment, I forget when, it was more than a year and a half ago, where someone was saying in the comment section of a TikTok, I'm a one truck pony, as in like, I can only have one food truck.
Yeah.
And so I've had that in the back of my mind where like, as long as it takes, I'm going to grow, I'm going to succeed and prove to that one person that, I can do it. Because yeah, people are always going to, it's the internet, it's always going to happen, but you can choose how it impacts you.
So the negativity sort of drives you to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, of course. If I believe one thing and you say it's wrong, I'm going to try my best to prove you wrong. And you may be listening to this now, or you guys even might be struggling to grasp this, but let's say you have this favorite restaurant, 10 out of 10 food, your absolute favorite place to go. Someone says, oh, I went there, it was average. How upset are you going to get? You're going to get very cut because you know that place to be great food, great service, and it brings you so much positive emotion. And so you're going to get defensive of your favorite restaurant, but you're not going to get defensive of like yourself, your goals, your dreams, without getting too motivational, but it's how it is,
So how do you think you built up that kind of resilience? Was it from parents? Was it from friends?
Growing up, I didn't really have good self-esteem. I'd say I was before primary school, or even before year 9, I was a bit chubby. You know, I wasn't the best looking, so I wanted to be accepted, and so my personality was molded by whatever helped me stay afloat. But then, as I grew up from, let's say, year 10 onward, sort of started to find myself more. And then after uni, dealing with like adversity, personal, friends issues, all that kind of stuff, even to a point where I had like no friends because just stuff went down, whatever, allowed me to just reflect and get deep. And I've always enjoyed, you know, philosophy and just thinking about life. And yeah, listening to other people's thoughts and takes and other podcasts, just absorbing everything and just relaying it. You end up forming your own opinions and outlooks on life. And yeah, I'd say at a point now, I barely ever like go through, alhamdulillah, you know, like negative courses of emotion. Like I will have my ups and downs, but nothing to an extent where it actually detriments me, because yeah, I've just kept training this mindset. It's almost like a muscle, you know.
So tell me about the business model, right? So you're in the hospitality industry, which most people would classify as being the most competitive, cutthroat space you're going to be in. You're dealing with perishable goods. You're dealing with very fickle customers, people whose, you know, needs and tastes and requirements change like the weather, like the breeze. It's ridiculous these days. And you've got a business model that's based on social media, which is quite new and somewhat untested a little bit.
Volatile.
And then you've got, you know, obviously the burger truck and in the future a restaurant or whatever the case may be. So what's in your mind? You've got an accounting background, so indulge us. So many of our listeners are, you know, business or business minded people. What's the overall business model? How does it all stack up? Do the numbers make sense? What works? What doesn't work?
So everything that I learned in accounting, I forgot as soon as I as soon as I finished everything. I forgot everything. And honestly, right now the business would not be surviving if it weren't for the volume. So even though I consider ourselves one of the best in Sydney in terms of product, we don't price it as so, because which is a completely, you know, emotional decision, want the burgers to be priced cheaper so that families can come, groups can come, and encourage people to go back. You know, you can go to a good burger place and spend, you know, $18 on a burger, and it can be worth it, the $18, but how many times are you going to be visiting there again? So right now we're sitting at $10, $11 for a single patty, $14 for a double patty, which is pretty standard in my opinion.
Very affordable.
Yeah, so like I want you to go there with $20, $21 and go with your meal and leave full.
Would that price change because you've got a mobile setup, right? So if you went to a more affluent suburb you set up over there, or you went to a really sort of top end of town, would that pricing change? Because all of a sudden over there, you know that your clientele regularly pay more, have more of a appreciation, I guess, for better quality. So if you classify your product to be a better quality, like, you know what, if I price it correctly, if I price it too cheap for that demographic, they'll classify it to be, oh well, this is cheap, pretty average, why bother buying it? So there's a psychological thing there as well. How do you tackle that?
The brand. So TikTok's allowed me to have this massive funnel where, all right, they know who Chebbo is, they know I've got a business, and they'll come the one time. And regardless if the burger was, I'd say $20 or $5, they'd still buy for the first time, because to try it, the novelty, the hype, you know, Chebbo's burgers. And so it's how we do from that first visit that determines whether they stay, and everything else becomes irrelevant. Where as long as they like the product, they'd be coming back. Obviously, the price plays a factor, but yeah, I'm not worried about being too cheap. Like, I'd say we're pretty mid-range, mid to low range. But yeah, I'm not too worried about being too cheap or being discounted by the price. Because at the end of the day, I've got the brand and the quality, and people see the lines, people see their friends talking about us. I honestly am ignorant, to a lot of things and factors that other businesses may be wary of, but I haven't had to be wary of them, because since day one, we've tried our absolute best to make sure everything's 100%. So this business, honestly, critiquing myself, I hadn't run it as, you know, efficiently and as smooth as possible, because things were going so well. It's not until recently where we're fitting out this restaurant and I've got all these, you know, overheads to pay. That
Would that increase the price?
Oh, see, that's the thing. That will be the smartest move. But I'm going to hold on until I absolutely can't and then do it. But yeah, so it's a bit tighter now, but yeah, once this restaurant opens, then it'll be good.
So which affluent restaurant are you opening up
Oh, it's a Chebbos Burgers, but like a physical location.
Where is
Where
it?
about
Marrickville,
Marrickville?
10-ish from here.
Is that like a sort of? We're not from Sydney,
Yeah.
so would that be like a more sort of affluent area, or is that sort of?
Inner West, hipster. So you know Newtown?
Yeah, just
Yeah, so it's
more
next
like
suburb
Brunswick,
over.
I think. More
Okay.
like-
Yeah.
yeah.
Very hipster. You can get away with like a $13 burger there. So I'm
Mm.
probably going to increase it by $1 there, just because we can. It's demographic. But yeah, in the local suburbs where I'm from, I'd say it's a bit less priced than Leicester City.
so your shop, your shop is gonna have different pricing to your truck.
Yes. So
It costs more to run, man. It's
it
a
costs
rent.
more
But
to
would
run.
that piss people off though?
No, because there'd be different demographics. So people, our current customers, I'd say 90% of them come from the Roselands, which is where we are now, outward, and I'd say 10% come from inward. And so this restaurant will be catching the inward people,
Right.
which are more of like a higher socioeconomic status, or whatever. I'm not saying they're richer, but as in
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just the
yeah.
vibe there.
When is it opening?
Good question. We signed the lease in March, but
Okay.
due to council issues and all these kind of headaches, we just haven't been able to start construction. But we're starting inshallah this week. I'm going to aim for early Feb, late Jan, but that's what we're going to aim for. But everyone in Sydney knows about it. Everyone's been asking me when's it coming. So yeah, it's been a bit
Well,
of a headache.
I know for a fact that the Melbourne equivalent of that area has a halal food truck for burgers and other things. They charge around $22, completely dead. You
Burger?
open up there, you can charge 21.
In
One
Melbourne,
burger?
you can get away with
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your
a
margin will be
chicken,
massive.
not even a beef one, a chicken one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't people like...
Melbourne people
with
don't
their
stop, you
dollars?
just
No, man,
pay
we get
all
robbed.
the day.
And they pay.
Wow.
You know you get robbed and you still come back.
Yeah, you go
There's
back
no other
and
option, man.
you get it again.
That's why we need more options.
True.
We
No,
need you
'cause-
in Melbourne, man.
Yeah, no, everyone's been telling me I need to come. I was telling you guys obviously before we started, but yeah, I get 3 to 5 DMs a week saying, come to Melbourne. I've been exploring options, but each time I'm like, all right, you know what, the horizon's looking clear. Probably start planning a trip now. Something will come up. So first it was the truck, and then the shop, and then this, and then that.
In Melbourne, I'll give you a tip. I don't know if it's like this in Sydney. Food trucks, like kebab food trucks and caravans, they strategically put these in strategic locations where people can have car meetups,
yeah,
right? And they make tons of money because it's just this hip spot where people just meet up.
yeah,
And the kebab
And they're just
man
buying for the
is just
sake of it.
rolling in a Rolex and a Lamborghini because he's feeding off
Yeah.
these. So if you want some tips, we could give you some proper tips on where to open up these,
In Melbourne.
where to
Yeah,
open up
Melbourne.
this truck.
Yeah.
Your Chebbo's truck, and I'm telling you, man, Melbourne.
If you come for a weekend, just like a Chebbo tour for the weekend
Yeah.
in Melbourne, I'm telling you, you won't leave. You just open a store there.
that's the plan. I met a guy from apparently, I think it was Graceland.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
said he
Oh,
can
yeah.
sort of hook us up there or something. But I'd
You
love,
would pop off. Like,
Oh, yeah.
everything there is a rip-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
So especially if we, price even a bit.
yeah,
I wouldn't, I wouldn't price lower there. It's like
You should
we're
price
Chebbos,
higher.
Honestly,
you
I
know?
wouldn't even recommend
We
going to
should,
Gazeland. Chuck yourself in Roxburgh Park.
oh
something
my
like
god.
that.
Yeah.
Where all the wogs are.
Where I am.
Where he is.
Where
I'll
he
be,
is.
I'll be
I'm
very
telling you,
thankful.
man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay,
Roxburgh
okay.
Park and whatnot. Grazeland, man.
Gotta write this down.
A lot of white people in Grazeland.
I'll send you
I
email.
don't know how that will go.
with all this.
No,
Nah,
they'd like
that's
it. But the thing about his pricing is pretty smart because, like, it's not too high, which means the same people will come maybe once or twice a week. That's
We
like,
get a lot of people
Repeat.
twice, sometimes 3 times a week because they can. So it's like, well, they'd rather have them spend $30 on one meal or $60
Mm.
on 3. Look, thinking about it now, the math's probably it's probably more profit in the one time. But we're still, interacting with
No,
playing
but-
for the long term.
but imagine, like, that's like $30 a week. Imagine that over 10, 20, 30 years from
Yeah,
one
exactly.
one person.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
exactly.
What's the number on that, Kevin? You're good at maths.
Oh, I'm too rusty for that one.
Yeah.
While you're figuring that out, I'll ask another question. So you're a young man in business in a very competitive environment. How do you work that mentally? Like, what are your primary motivators, your drivers? How do you celebrate your successes? Other than making tower burgers on TikTok,
Yeah.
how else does just Chebbo sort of let off some steam and say, look, you know what? Hey, this is how I pat myself on the back. Because that's very, very important, right? A lot of people get so caught up in the euphoria of building a business that they forget that, hey, it's me that's running the show. I need to reward myself for this. How does Chebbo reward himself?
So I don't really celebrate. So it's coming. That's thunder.
That is a
Yeah,
storm.
it was so hot today. But yeah, dramatic effect. So I don't really celebrate. It's to a point now where it's like I'm super grateful for everything, but it's like well done to myself. I celebrate in the moment. Like let's say I get great news in an email, I'll be like, yeah, you know, screaming, whatever. I'm usually home alone. Everyone's out working. I was like, scream, yeah, celebrate. And then it's like, all right, what's next? But with regards to reward, I'm a very simple guy. Like as much money as I'll ever make in my life, I'm not one to like indulge in luxuries and whatever. Like I'm not too big a fan of it. One of my favorite things to do are come to the city alone, eat like noodles or another place that I like, and then watch a movie, and that's it. Like,
What's this place that you like?
There's 1915 Lansdale noodles. Have you heard of
Oh,
those?
who's supposed to go there?
We wanted to get that tonight.
Yeah.
Could go after this if we have time.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then there's a pepper lunch. They're pretty good as
Yeah,
well.
I've got that in
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah. So go there by myself, listen to podcasts or whatever on the way. Watch a movie. Event cinemas. It's got a very luxury cinema, a gold class, but it's like a different theme. And that's it.
All by yourself.
Yeah. And so that way I can think over things that are just on my mind, or just de-stress, relax, and like be alone. Especially in the city, there's that much people. I wouldn't really like no one will recognize me here. Like they would, but like not as many. But walking in the area, like everyone will know. Like, hey, Chebbo. It's not like I don't appreciate it. It's like this is my time to like unwind.
Talk more about that. The fame.
Yeah.
How does it feel when people want to take selfies with you?
I don't know if it's a self-esteem issue or just the normal reaction, but in my mind, it's like, why do you want to take a photo with me? Like, what's wrong with you? In a way, it's like, it just doesn't register with me that like I've had this much of an impact. Partly because I think this all happened when I was in COVID. So it was like not seeing anyone from the start of COVID, 2 years later, everyone's out and about. And then it's just, open season. So I didn't really have like a slow growth or slow adjustment. It was just like seeing no one for 2 years, growing an audience, then bam, I'm exposed to all of it at once. So it's still maybe registering, but it is pretty cool. Being able to like literally wave at someone or say hi to someone and then them have the biggest smile on their face. Especially like that's the service level stuff, and then you get DMs just like, oh hey man, I made your burgers for my mum and she loved them, and deeper stuff like that. It gets pretty like insane. But I've always wanted to help and have an impact, and it leads to the hospitality side of me as well. It's like you really generally care about that stuff, but it is nice.
Do you ever feel like it's an invasion of your privacy at some point? So you're like, I just want to have some time to myself.
That's
But
why he
then-
runs off to the city.
So that is a good point. So that's why I do run off to the city, but for the most part, not really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if I want to have the privilege of a platform, that's the price I have to pay, and it's weighing them up. If it's all right, go back to accounting 9 to 5. Literally like my old life versus now, and the price I have to pay is like always having to smile and say hi to people. I'll take that any day,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm faking it as well. Like I genuinely do. Sometimes I'm tired and I'm out of it. So I still make sure every interaction's 100%. But yeah, it has to happen, Like I can't be. Yeah, I just can't be selfish. I'm always grateful for the audience. They're what made me here, and that's what I got to do.
Have you ever set up shop at like a Eid festival?
I tried last year, but the thing is with burgers, everyone lumps burgers into one category. So I tried the Easter show, I tried Eid show, I tried everything. But they're like, oh, sorry, we already have burgers here. But I'm like,
They
do you
didn't
have
have
Chebbos
Chebbo?
burgers?
Wow.
What?
There are burgers, there are burgers, mate. You're going to make a
And the
difference.
guys who organise it, they've got no clue about like the social media stuff, so I
That's
can't even leverage
insane.
that.
Ah.
So it does suck.
You can make a
'Cause
killing
We
there.
need to do
'Cause
an
even the
event.
basic burgers, they make a killing there. So I'm like, imagine if I was there. Fuck.
Yeah, the trash ones, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to do an event and bring the Chebbos down.
I have direct access to the
Wait,
Eid
yeah,
show guy.
Eid show next
organizer.
year?
I'll
Okay.
yeah.
I'll hook you
Please
up.
do. Please do.
I will
It might be
hook
in
you up.
Melbourne, by the way.
Oh, I'd come
So
down to
that means
Melbourne.
you'd have to come.
I'll, honestly,
There you
Put in the
this
contract.
Week, this week, I'm gonna send an email to Ridwan
Yeah.
and CC you in it.
The one I contacted.
The guy that runs the show. I'm gonna be like, this guy, lock him in. I don't
Okay.
think you know who this guy is. He's heading up in Melbourne as well next year.
Yeah.
I reckon you should have like a road trip there.
Because that's the
Mate,
thing as well. A road
massive.
trip, like from all aspects of the Chebbo brand, I can vlog it. I can make videos with Melbourne creators. There's just so much to do from just this one Melbourne trip. Obviously, logistically, it'll be tough, but like the upsides will be insane. So
Yeah.
just need to
I'm
get
gonna
around
hook you
to
up
it.
with him. Now we need Chebbos.
We're gonna sort it out.
Yeah,
We'll sort
that's
it out.
it.
You talk about the brand. If you could summarize in a nutshell, what does the Chebbo brand stand for? What do you want it to represent?
The theme would be, I'd say theme. So with the burgers and the business, it's more like simple, but I want to say done well, but sub that with any other synonym. So executed well, or that amazing, whatever. But yeah, so it's, and even it even reflects itself within me. So I consider myself to be a normal guy, very simple, but execute. It's hard to summarize, and I should, as a business, have these cool themes and stuff, but it's something you can relate to, and it's within arm's reach, I'd say, as well. So I don't want to be, with the recipes that I cook, with the burgers that I make, nothing's too alienating for the viewer. I do cook with my Wagyu, but like majority of my videos you can make at home. Back to my podcast, which we touched on before starting this, it's my own thoughts, which I want to be very accessible and close to you.
Relatable.
Relatable.
Yeah. Because I've seen that. Like, you look at your TikToks and whatnot, the ingredients that you cook with and the recipes that you have, they're like, it's an everyday home type of thing. Anyone at home could sort of get the cabbage and get this and get that and, prepare something. Do you ever plan to sort of pre-pack those sauces and things? Because that's where, like, the Nando's and whatnot, that's where they went. They started off with, everything is, only available in our restaurants. And they take the restaurant home and say, okay, you can pack it over there. I don't know if you have it in Sydney, but in Melbourne during COVID, Providore took off. Providore was a big one. I don't know if you have it over here, but that sort of concept is really cool, where you can have your fine dining, really exquisite meal, but you assemble it at home, and the expert like yourself pre-makes that. So that's like your burger kit.
That's exactly what we did last lockdown. So lockdown, the first one, it was the rise of Chebbos, cooking from our driveway. Took off there when we started doing it every week. Lockdown 2 was when we did the burger kits. So I decided to shut because cases were everywhere this time. It was just very uncertain. There was like a 5 kilometer limit. I was like, if we trade, it's not going to be worth the effort to make like barely any profit each night. So I took the time off to just do content, but even that, I was like, I've got to do more, there's only so much content I can make without it being stale. So then we decided to do burger kits. And so pretty much what you were just saying, I spoke to my bakery. We got packs of 4, 6, and 2. We prepared lettuce, patties, cheese, everything that we use ourselves. I filmed an unlisted YouTube video, attached the QR code onto a paper, and that would come with the burger kit, and then packaged our special sauce as well. So you'd go online, order a burger kit, it'd come to your door, track delivery, all that kind of stuff, scan the QR code, see me, making the burger, and then you were able to make Chebbos, but at home. And that was pretty good. So the idea sort of died towards the end of lockdown, but it was a great way to make sure our customers were still interacting with us, were staying relevant, cash flow as well. That was super important. But yeah, that was a good idea. Our next step is potentially packaging our sauce and getting it out there, but that's another logistical thing. That's a good thing as well with having a platform.
Distribution's there.
Yeah, I've got networks now where I can reach out to this guy who knows this guy who can sort it out for me, which I'm very lucky for. So it shaves a lot of effort and hard work behind even getting to the door before opening the door. So yeah, in the future, inshallah, but for now, it's just focusing on this one store, scaling that, nailing the procedures, the processes, all that kind of thing, and then building a team where we can start making more, and then I can step back a bit more, and then whether it's content and double down on that, or more business stuff, who knows, but yeah.
So what I like to ask business owners are, what they would do different if they were to restart the company. So if you were to do Chebbo all over again, what would you do different? Because everyone learns something.
Yeah.
Right? So what would you
every
do?
day.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to preface this by saying I don't want to discourage anyone from starting, because the best way to learn is to do. But for myself, it's nothing really too much. It's just getting experience. So I worked at Macca's, which was good. That taught me a lot of the burger making procedures. But running a business and being a manager, being a boss, doing all the other small business stuff, which is an entire world, I was figuring out as we go. So a lot of mistakes were made, a lot of headaches, a lot of stress, everything. But yeah, we survived. But it is something very valuable that I ideally should have worked with someone else, whether it's another burger small business or gotten a mentor, whatever it may be. But yeah, get a bit more experience. But looking back, it's like I saw an opportunity and I took it, and we still worked out. Different story if I crashed and burned, and I could have been like, oh, I should have done this. But yeah, things still working out. And I could be bigger if I did things differently, and I could be smaller. But at the end of the day, we're here now because of what I did, and yeah.
No, I think it's really admirable what you've done, because a lot of people are too afraid to start. I think that the trick to it all is to get something started, to get something off the ground. It may not be perfect day one, but you refine it, you improve it as you go along. So many people are so focused on, I need to raise heaps of capital, I need to have a mentor, I need to have a management team, I need to have a board, I need to have advisors, blah, blah, blah. There's so much I think about before doing something like this. And in the process of all that, they look at this huge mountain of work and say, look, you know what, no point doing that. I'm guaranteed to fail. And they lose that motivation, that raw drive, that entrepreneurial spirit that goes.
Yeah, they get too cute or too fancy.
Exactly. Try to be, they seek perfection day one. It doesn't happen. I think most people, like you look at the notion of a startup, like technically you're a startup until you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
You're still sort of an established startup until about 10 years old. Then after that, you're an established business. Yeah. So I think it's a strong message to send to all the young sort of entrepreneurs, particularly Muslim entrepreneurs out there, be it in any sort of faculty, that the best way to get out there is just to get started.
Exactly. I started with just money from my savings account, and it's paralysis by analysis, which is what you were describing. So I face it with what to eat, but I haven't really faced it with the business. You really want to just do. That's the only way you'll learn. Like with my TikTok, the first 30 videos were objectively rubbish. But it's not about the fancy cameras or the lighting. It was about the message and the brand and connecting with the audience. And there was a fun theme behind making a burger every day till I'm famous that people got behind. And it was different, There was a guy making burgers on TikTok. I was that early, no one else was doing it. But yeah, I'd say throughout this whole experience, my biggest strength has been with the brand as well and the business. My biggest strength has been not knowing how things are done, because I didn't know the right way to do this. I just did it how I thought, and that allowed me to grow this brand, grow this platform. Because you look at it as well. So I sat down with my cousin. This is a story I don't think I've told before, and he was a big burger fan or whatever. I told him, I want to start this, little burger pop up, do it once every few months or few weeks, just for fun. And he's like, all right, sweet, let's sit down. We sat down on a spreadsheet, and I'm like, He's like, what burgers do you want? I'm like, I don't really want to put too many burgers on the menu. He's like, nah, you need a Juicy Lucy burger. I'm like, oh, all right, we'll put a Juicy Lucy burger. I was like, is that it? And then he's like, no, you need a chicken burger. I'm like, oh, I guess I need a chicken burger. And then we went through this whole thing where at the end of our session, it wasn't Chebbo's Burgers. It was a burger place that he was thinking of, And so this isn't to, diss my cousin.
How many burgers were there?
But that was like 8 or something.
Oh, damn, okay.
Yeah, so it's my strength has been doing things the way I wanted to, doing things in a way that I thought they were best, because that's what makes it Chebbo's Burgers. If you look at the way things are done, especially with social media and TikTok, you see another guy doing a video and that does so well, so you copy him to make videos like that in hopes of doing well. How many other people do you think are doing the same copying? So now you're not, making videos of your own. You're just a group of 20 creators copying one. So it's ideas from that. If anyone is interested, resonated within the book, Don't Listen to the Customer, which pretty much applauds businesses like Apple and IKEA for frustrations and customer, not being as streamlined and as business savvy as they should be, but that's where their strengths are. Everyone, talks smack about Apple doing this and that, but
like removing the headphone jack.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, just cooked me, man.
Everyone hates it, but that's what makes them number one.
Yeah.
IKEA, you go to there, you have to walk through a maze and you
Yeah.
get lost and you stress and whatever, and then you have to load the thing yourself. But at the end of the day, you just spent 6 hours interacting with the
Yeah.
brand.
People go to IKEA
Yeah.
for dates.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
crazy.
that's what their
Restaurant
strength
there,
is.
Yeah.
They get
restaurant
food there,
placement,
then they go through
or
the
it's a
maze.
full
Horrible
whole-
food, but
Yeah.
people
It's a
still go.
day long
Keeps you in.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and now what would IKEA be if it streamlined its processes and made it more efficient and was just a showroom where in and out, where you could go in and out, like Kmart, for example. Well, even Kmart's doing well with their frustrations, moving the checkouts to the center. But yeah, what would IKEA be if they became the most optimal, ideal, savvy business? You'd go there, get your furniture and go. They wouldn't have this unique identity. Same thing with Chebbos Burgers. We have a massive line, which obviously, objectively, is very annoying for the customer.
But, it
But
pulls
that's what,
people in though.
that's what who we
There's
are.
a
Yeah.
line, so I'm like, this must be good.
Yeah, so you're
right?
standing in line. It's not like you're absorbing the vibe. You know, there's people talking, there's groups, there's music playing. It's a good vibe. It adds to the experience. And it's not like we do it intentionally. At the end of the day, we just get busy, and the grill can only cook so much. But us owning that has allowed us to come where we are now. We could have, rushed the burgers or made the patties smaller so they cook faster, whatever. But we've embraced our faults, and that's given us our identity.
Let's talk about the Muslim community for a second. You being Muslim, Lebanese, right? We have a company that Hijaz targeting the Muslim community.
Yeah.
So we do see how strict Muslims could be sometimes, and how harsh Muslims could be to other Muslims, and how harsh Muslims could critique other Muslim companies. Do you want to share some experiences on how the Muslim community has been, the pros and cons of that?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you have some interesting stories there to share.
Yeah, so the pros are when the community loves you, they love you,
Yeah, 100%.
which is good. So
yeah.
I've gotten a ton of support,
They'll die for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously serving halal burgers, and there's not many there are some good spots, but it's not in abundance, So we're now able to provide good food that are halal at a consistent basis, whatever. With regards to backlash, we do get, because we do play music at the trailer for the vibe, ambience, whatever, we do get some critiques on that. We do get people who heckle us. Where do you get your meat from? We get it from a halal butcher.
Hand-cut
Where do you get your meat from? Is it hand cut? Can you confirm this? And I only know too much because at the end of the day, it's a butcher, and they're a very well-known butcher. Probably the most well-known
Can you
in
give a
the
plug
area.
for the butcher?
Sorry.
Who's the butcher?
Oh, Abu Ahmad Butchery, but they don't do any. They're not taking any more burger.
They're all reserved.
we slam it that much that they're all done.
Exclusive rights
yeah.
to that
Yeah.
meat.
But yeah, so honestly, not too much. Because at the end of the day, I sort of know how to cleverly navigate through stuff so that I'm not, I'm not open to any criticism, if you know what I mean. There was one time during I think it was last year, when Israel launched a few more attacks on Palestine, where I did get abused by one person who was like, or maybe a few more, but I just, so they were like, as if you're not using your platform for speaking out and all this kind of stuff, and acting as if I don't care, when I had been sharing posts and I had been, speaking about the issue. But at the end of the day, if I were to only speak on the issue, have you guys heard of compassion fatigue? Yeah, where if I only post about Palestine, as sad as it is, people will experience compassion fatigue, and there is a limit on how much you can post without it just being, another post. I understand my audience. I know that if I do, 5 burger posts and then 1 post to get awareness, it'll do well. But I'm sure you guys can relate with another, account you may follow. If they're only posting, let's wrap it around an analogy. Let's say you have a friend, and they're constantly they posted the depressing quote one time. It's like, oh, what happened, bro? Blah blah. They're posting it every day.
You just
for the
skip
next
it.
year.
Get over it.
Yeah, exactly. And so this isn't to talk down on what our brothers and sisters are going through. It's more so being effective with it, and so encourage and allow people to attentively pay attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit disheartening because it's like, in a time like this, why are you turning on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And if I wanted to be all nerdy about it, I can be like, all right, why don't you create a social media platform about flowers, gain 400,000 followers, and then turn that into a pro-Palestine thing. Yeah. At the end of the day, if our goal and objective is to raise as much awareness as we can to the issue, and ensure everyone gets behind it, that's what we should be doing, not as soon as something happens, point fingers.
Yeah.
You saw it with like the George Floyd thing where every single creator was like, why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't you talking about it? It actually becomes like that scene from The Office where everyone's holding guns to each other. It's like, yeah. And it's like, all right, if you're so passionate about the issue, why don't you make up an account and go for it? And if they say, oh, I don't like social media, it's like, all right, what do you prefer more? Not liking social media or not raising awareness? You know, you can get so nitty gritty and nerdy about it. At the end of the day, it's just a time where we should double down on becoming a community and having a strong, consistent message, not pointing fingers and stuff.
I'm always against politics and business. Like my dad, he has a very good following on LinkedIn, being a businessman and whatnot. And every time something happens, like he would never post anything on his LinkedIn to support Palestine or any other thing, because it's almost like you're trying to leverage off the suffering of what's happening there.
Exactly.
Like, I'm a good guy, by the way. I work for Hijaz.
That's another thing.
Come to us.
Massive
Blah blah blah.
It's
It's not a good
clickbait,
image.
yeah.
It's not
clickbait.
authentic.
It's not authentic. And you're right. If you're gonna support something, you should do it even when there is no downtime to it, or there's no suffering there. You should be consistent rather than blow up. Okay, time to make a video.
It shouldn't be a trend.
So how many people that were posting back then are posting now? So now, if we're still gonna be like that person who emailed me was, why don't we just make a list of every single creator and then let's go harass them now? Why aren't you posting about it? You know, it's not like Palestine's free right now. It's not. You know?
BLM is a good example. Now back then, everyone's profile was blacked out with the arm, blah blah blah. And now it's nowhere to be seen, right?
Exactly.
So if you're gonna stand up for it, do it.
Be consistent
every day, right?
And it raises now issues about, you know, these issues. Are they trends or how genuine someone can be when posting about it? It's a whole can of worms.
Propaganda and what isn't, because now they can see that if we do this in X way, we can make sure the entire population is not posting this, and it becomes about, I need to be a good person, so I'm going to post this. So it's not like you care or anything like that.
You're just doing it to check the box to show that.
And I'm thinking, like, if I'm Chebbo, right, you have a global audience and you'll have Muslims, non-Muslims coming to your burger joint. Some will be for Palestine, some will be against Palestine. So if you side with Palestine, you're going to lose all these people that doesn't really care. Or let's say Israelis, right? I know we're getting into politics a bit, but it's like that. You just don't want to muck around with anything. You just, I'm a businessman. I'm selling burgers. I'm selling whatever, and I don't want to get involved with anything. And it's not a bad thing. The community is sometimes too harsh on that. Right. It's you're in this. Yeah. I don't want to get into politics too much, but coming back to the music thing, I mean, that's something that we struggle as well as a company, because financial services, right? We put out ads out there, video ads and blah, blah, blah. And we do sometimes put in music in there.
Yeah, you can't exactly have a nasheed in the background.
You can't have a nasheed. And nasheed's like the same thing that we're talking about, the whole Palestine thing. You're putting a nasheed to a financial product. It's almost like, Allah, come to us. You know, no, man, it's ridiculous.
And then you'll have another person saying, why is it
why is there a nasheed?
And then you take away the music, and then there's a drum beat. Why is there a drum beat? And then you take the music away. Why is there no music? You can't win.
Yeah, what a terrible video. There's no music.
It's harsh, man. It's tough. People don't see that side of it.
It's like the analogy of the father, son, and the donkey.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you can't win. You can't please everybody.
100%.
The father's riding the donkey. They'll be like, you're making your poor son walk. The son's riding the donkey. You're making your poor father walk. No one's riding the donkey. Why are you idiots? You know. Sorry, I don't know if I say that word, but well, why is no one riding the donkey? Both people ride the donkey. You guys are overworking the poor donkey. So
it's crazy.
But I think what you do right is you keep everything authentic. You know, this is the vibe we want. This, like, the beef part has to taste like this. The onions have to taste like this. Everything is done to
how we do it.
Exactly.
And we get so many questions of people like, oh, can we do a phone order to skip the line? And we physically can't, because if we start doing phone orders, then you'll just set back everyone who's waiting, you know, in person. And we understand that if we don't take that phone order, that's another customer lost. But it's us sticking to our brand and doing the way we do things, and that's paid off. You know, I feel like if you just keep listening to the customer, you're not going to be you. You're going to be their favorite or their another place that they're thinking in their mind.
Yeah.
And-
Do you utilize Uber Eats and whatnot? You
No,
don't
so
do
that's another one. So that's too hard to maintain without in-person customers. Like, alhamdulillah, we're that busy where if we were doing it at the very start, like mid 2020, it just became too much managing drivers, managing in person. We're just 100% dedicated to you if you show up, and that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people say you're missing out, but so
Yeah,
what?
yeah. That's what I was
So
thinking.
based on the current growth trajectory, at what point will Chebbo be invited to MasterChef for their burger challenge? Each season they've got some sort of a
Yeah.
sandwich or a burger challenge. When, for our audience today, is it something happening next year maybe? Maybe there's some sort of secret unveiling of some sort.
No, I do want to get into more TV and all that stuff. Not because of the impact it'll have. So this is going to be talking a bit bad on TV because I've had a few TV appearances. The impact isn't that big. It's just the perception of the impact. So let's say I'm on TV. I won't, or depend. If I'm on a proper TV show, maybe. But like me showcasing you in one show will only legitimize me. It'll just, it's another stamp on my resume, let's say, where I've been on TV, but it won't really set me forward that much. It's only a perception of it, if you guys know what I mean.
Like there's not many new customers.
Yeah, it's not really as tangible. It obviously is contextual to the show, the audience, or time, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to get on TV to more like set in stone myself and my brand as like a guy in the cooking scene doing burgers. Like ideally, inshallah, within like 5-10 years, whatever it is, I want to be known as like synonymous with burgers. So you think of burgers, you're thinking of me. That's how I want to tie it together.
You think about franchising?
No.
Yeah, the quality control.
Yeah, that's another one. At the end of the day as well, it does, like, you are franchising, you do get to be very selective, all that kind of stuff. But it is fun doing it myself. Like, even when we first started with the first trailer, I was getting offers, come brother, I'll, you 50, 51, 49, you get 49. I'll buy all the equipment for you and you can work inside. I'm like, you want me to just sell my whole business and become an employee under your shop? Got a lot of those offers where even to this day, I'm sure we can, like, I'll sign with someone and open another 5 stores, good money in the bank, but at the end of the day, what's the point? I don't believe in not working or retiring. I feel like I'd go crazy with it. So yeah, I want to keep.
You're too young to retire.
Yeah, exactly. 22, yeah, the money doesn't, like. I'm glad that I've proven to myself that it wouldn't really like get to me that much. Obviously, buy a cool car, whatever, but like not overindulge.
Do you have a cool car?
Sorry.
Do you have a cool car?
I drive a Toyota Hiace 2005.
Really?
Yeah.
The answer's no.
So humble.
Yeah, so very no.
Simple.
It's for work and just can't bother 2 cars too much. Yeah, so I'm not gonna compromise my financial situation at any point for the sake of a car, which I'll enjoy, but it's what obviously the perception of other people.
Yeah,
That's the main driver.
It's good advice for the youth, I think.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, like, I've bought a designer shirt before and I like took my Snapchats with it. And then I took it home with no one in my bedroom. I'm like, yeah, well, what was the point? Yeah.
A few $100.
Yeah, and you really got to audit yourself, to the viewers, audit yourself over all these things, what you do, audit all your intentions. Like, is this for me or is this for someone else? Am I doing this? Is this the best for me right now? Best for me in the future? Audit everything you do. That's honestly going to get you so much further. And yeah, make sure your decisions are for the right reasons.
Do you ever get scared of growing and scaling Chebbo Burgers? Because I feel like after like 8 restaurants, how are you supposed to like keep the quality there? Like at the same, each joint will taste the same.
Yeah.
Because I've tried Royal Stacks, I've tried Betty's at many places. They all taste different.
They're all different.
Yeah, like you were saying, the Queensland one's the best. What inspires me is Shake Shack, like I mentioned before. So they've been able to, obviously it still will vary, like there's no such thing as 100% perfection, but their burger will taste the same in every country because of their procedures set in place. I've listened to the founder speak on podcasts and everything, and their equipment, they've invested highly in it, their supply chain, everything, where they're working hard, like Macca's, to make sure every single burger you taste in every single country will taste the exact same. But obviously, there's just that much of a high quality. And so I'm even thinking about it from now. So we just upgraded our grill to a chrome grill, things like a mirror. And so that will enable us to have more consistent smash patties. Supplies are another issue. So I'm dealing with it right now. So going from the truck to now the truck and the store. But that's the fun, you know. I can be scared about it and limit my growth, or I can have a crack, and if it doesn't work out, pivot.
Because you're going to have even more issues, right? You're going to have the whole supply chain thing. You're going to have all these HR issues.
Even now, like, I worked 4 days this week, which I should not be doing, because the boys know how to flip burgers. They know how to smash patties. They know how to build the burgers. But we've just had shortages in staff. We don't have, for the one truck, we've got 15 people, but just that many people unavailable this weekend. So we had to.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so there's always going to be issues, but that's a condition of business. Like, that's what I really, really am grateful for my mindset, where my dad, who's very old school, I'll tell him something and he'll have the biggest heart attack or whatever to do with the business. And I'll just be like, so chill, because I appreciate it as a condition of business, you know? And apply it to whatever, you know, let's say you have an argument with your wife. That's not the world falling apart. It's a condition of marriage. And if you just treat and internalize it as so, it makes it easier to deal with. But yeah, it's a condition of business, and if I'm going to be a businessman, that's what I got to deal with. If I don't want to deal with that issue, then don't be a businessman, you know?
Yeah, you've been sponsored. I don't know if it's sponsored, or you worked with KFC before.
Yeah.
And Doritos.
Master Foods, we did the kits with them.
Yeah.
A few others, yeah.
Well, how was that experience?
It is pretty
cool.
cool.
Did you feel like, I made it?
Yeah. So it is pretty cool. So with the KFC one especially, because I just started off organically just doing a video about like one of their new burgers. And then next one they reached out and they wanted to pay for it. I'm like, ooh, okay. And then it kept going until we did the KFC inspired meal, where I take KFC ingredient and I remix it so you can make it at home. And that was pretty cool, like having my face being plastered on, you know, all of their ads on social media and all this kind of stuff, and having friends see it. It was pretty cool. But that's the sticky thing about just any kind of growth, you know. Let's say you start the gym and then a year later you've got biceps and stuff that you've never had before. To fast forward from the first day to the biceps day, you're like, wow, amazing biceps. But living it, it's like, all right, this is cool, but I want more. That's just how it is with life, you know. So very grateful for it, but it's like, it's a constant thing.
It's a stepping stone. It's
exactly. Yeah, so grateful at each step. Sorry.
No, go.
I was gonna say, grateful at each step, but always just keen for more.
So which company would you really want? Like, you really want next?
I don't know.
Be careful. Yeah. What you say here.
Yeah. Could you give it a category?
Well, since the others were in food as well. Or maybe a car company.
I feel like you want shake.
No, I'll stick to food, but where I can have my own burger, like my own sauce in like a Guzman Gomez, for example. Yeah, something like that. That'd be cool, where it's an actual product or my brand or something that I did integrated, as opposed to just
in the menu.
Yeah, as opposed to me just sponsoring, like doing an ad or whatever.
But yeah, I was gonna say, hearing you speak, it seems like you've put yourself through a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Sort of different types of philosophies and things like that. What made you delve into that? Because it sounds like you've actually done a deep study into these things.
Yeah. So it was around 2018, fresh out of high school, where a whole lot of stuff was going on, like personal stuff, whatever. And luckily, I was in an internship at the time, working at Coca-Cola Amatil, and my task was like, it was so easy. So I had a lot of time to listen to podcasts. So the main one was Philosophize This, where it was a guy just running from pretty much every single philosopher throughout the ages and their ideas and that kind of stuff. And I just appreciate thought and deep thought and different ways to look at things, because at the end of the day, everyone goes through pain and suffering and emotion, but you were able to process it and deal with it in different ways. Like, it's so fascinating to see two people go through the exact same thing, but one, just accept it and one, be able to just grow from it and internalize it so well, while the other just suffers. And while I'm not, I guess I'd say, articulating it very well, I'm a big fan of just reflecting, because it's just in general helped me so much from the personal side, and that's translated into the business side.
I sense a bit of Marcus Aurelius there.
Yes, a bit. Yeah, I just bought the Daily Stoic, but I'm waiting till January 1st because of like my OCD. I don't want to start it in the middle of the year.
It's good.
Yeah. But yeah, Stoicism I looked into as well, because at the end of the day, you have a sore shoulder. You're not just gonna ignore it and then cry every time your shoulder hurts. You're gonna go physio. You're gonna look up ways to stretches, exercise you can do in the morning. Same thing with your mind. If you're going through a tough time or you're suffering, to just ignore it and keep going isn't the smartest idea. What you want to do is go to the physio equivalent, stretches equivalent, which is I don't do journaling or whatever. I don't do manifestation, all that kind of stuff. It's more of like a informal thing. But yeah, working with your mind to make sure you're doing these practices that allow it to become healthier.
Solid. Before we wrap up, any other questions by you guys? No? You sure? All right. Now, I'm going to call you Ali instead of Chebbo.
Yeah, go
out
for
of
it.
respect. Your name's Ali. My name's
That's it.
Ali. We should just... The great name Ali, we should say.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, the way we end this podcast is we ask 10 out of inches questions, which is 10 rapid fire questions. And you could take as long as you want to answer it, or as slow, depending on how quick you want to go home, right? So I'm going to start with the first question.
Yep.
Most famous person who has eaten your burger?
There's two. I don't know who's more. There's two that are coming to mind.
Right.
There's one, I don't know if you guys know, not very like relevant to this podcast theme, Chillin' It. He's a rapper.
You should know.
I don't.
No?
Like the rappers
Okay,
before?
so if you want to look him up, he's not very like halal friendly. He's
Chill,
a
what is
massive fan. Chillin' It, so ChILLINIT. The other one is Mully. He does like VR stuff on YouTube. He's pretty big, couple million followers. No one else is coming to mind at the moment, so I apologize to anyone else who has. Kevin is a bit more famous, but yeah, them two.
Not very halal.
Yeah.
Your favorite food? What's your favorite food?
Pasta.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something with no meat.
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't let myself
you're sick
eat it.
of burgers, man. That's why.
Yeah, look, burgers have sort of lost their magic, where it's 9 out of, like, I don't eat beef burgers outside the house, and it only takes me making the burger that I make at the truck extra well for it to be like wow to me, because I've eaten it that many times.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What pasta though?
it's got to be creamy.
100%.
Yeah. So whether it's pink sauce or a white sauce, yeah, it's a creamy pasta with a lot of cheese. Yeah, but I don't let myself eat them too much because I should just keep eating.
Yeah.
Very unhealthy.
Favorite fast food restaurant?
Probably a Porto's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you dip your chips in sauce, or do you squirt the sauce on the chips?
Ketchup is squirted on top. Special sauce is dipped into.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Your favorite superhero?
This is a tough one. Spider-Man or Batman? They're pretty cliche. Spider-Man because he's Spider-Man, and Batman because it's like the darker side. Yeah.
I think, mine's Batman. What's yours? Spider-Man?
This is liberating, you know. Just a normal guy is able to
What was
just do so well.
Captain
Yeah.
America.
Really?
Interesting.
He's just more natural, man.
He's
He's
a super soldier.
steroided, man.
Yeah, but he's
So
like
much
the
steroids.
most natty.
Nah,
No, he's
Batman's
not.
the most
Batman's
natty.
the most nutty.
Oh, he's cheating, man.
Batman's a normal
Huh?
dude.
He's a
It's all
normal
tech,
guy.
man. It's like a Iron Man in a black suit.
Nah,
Like the
man.
way I see it is like,
Batman
if
has no
I-
superpowers. He just
if I want to
kicks the shit out of
be
people.
Captain
Smart.
America, I just take steroids. If I want to be Batman, it's like something you can aspire to be because
Yeah,
it's strategy and the tech. You can get the tech yourself and then learn
Yeah.
the skills. You're not gonna be Batman.
But you're not
Calm
gonna have a
man.
billion. You're not gonna be born a
That's
billionaire.
exactly what I was. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. It's
You
like
can
That's
become
why I
a
don't like
billionaire.
Iron Man
Right.
either. They're both billionaires. Even
Yeah.
though he is a good character, just
Better dad his money to it.
yeah.
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 Both of them.
Yeah.
Very deep combo, man. Solid combo.
Steve Rogers was the skinniest guy in the whole squad.
Yeah.
He almost didn't make the military.
But it
Sure.
was his internal.
Yeah, his internal that would
It's
just
like
gave
he's
him the
copying
serum.
Tahir, man. Tahir said Captain
No,
America.
no, no.
I can
Exposed.
see it.
He's got heart, and I'm American as well. I can't pick it on us.
True.
Americans are enemies of Islam, man. What's
Huh?
going on here?
Yeah.
You gotta play both sides.
Captain
Yeah,
Jack.
yeah.
Double
Yeah,
agent.
both sides, yeah.
What is your deepest fear?
Not being good enough.
Mm.
I can see that. It's like reflected in the like everything you do.
Yeah.
You're just perfecting. It's
Pretty
solid.
much.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
That was quick.
Yeah, there's no.
Correct
All
answer.
it takes is just sending. I'll add you guys on Snapchat right now. Send me a Snapchat. I'll tell you whether you're valid or not.
Mm.
You're not iPhone, right?
No, you got an Android.
Samsung.
Pixelated pictures.
Yeah.
No, my cousin has Android. Like, you can't even make
It's
what the
so
photo is. It's
terrible.
like,
We're
what is
taking a
that?
video with the Android. It's just like, oh, okay, there's no stabilization.
It's like we're in 2022.
It's like
There's
Minecraft,
no
man.
excuse for it.
I've
to be
got to
like that.
change, man, because I send solid snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah,
get
you're
some
shooting
good
yourself in the
snaps. You
foot.
need an iPhone
Yeah.
for that, man.
What motivates you the most?
Potential.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky enough to have this platform at this age. Like, what's off the table at this point?
Mm.
You know. And
The
it's
world is your oyster.
exactly, and it's the only variable is how hard I work. So it's not even about the result. It's like if I honestly would say while I do work hard, I'm at like 30% of what I can do.
Mm.
No, today I recovered a lot from the weekend. Obviously, it was a massive weekend, and woke up early for soccer. I vlogged that, all that kind of stuff. Worked hard. Today I woke up late and had a nap and this and that. I'm not even at capacity right now. So if I could work at that capacity for the next 5 years, 10 years, however long, see where that takes me.
Yeah, no, 100%. What is something you want to tick off in your bucket list?
A store in at least 5 countries.
Which countries?
So it'd probably go New
Most
Zealand.
Analytics.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Probably go New Zealand, Singapore, Dubai, UAE. Sorry. That's 3. And then we'd go
Get the Vikings onto it.
Vikings. We'll go Indonesia and Sweden.
Indonesia needs that as well, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The burgers there, not it.
Yeah, I went there in 2019.
Oh,
I
man.
tried.
Nasi
them.
lemak
It's
burgers.
disgusting, man. I've never finished a burger in Indonesia. Except with the Whoppers, because they taste the same
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
But yeah,
Whoppers
no,
is solid, man. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
double down. So like things I was doing, I could have done even more if I
Yeah.
just doubled down. But just insecurity and being caught up in my own thoughts. I'd say even now, like for example with YouTube, still it kept getting to me the fact that I was just a bit self-conscious about posting on YouTube. TikTok, because it was a new platform, because there was no culture on it, there was no family on it, it was easier to post there because it was just new. Versus posting on Instagram, I wouldn't post the same videos because of just the culture surrounding it. I'd been on Instagram for a while. I knew my friends were on there, families on there. Even though they're on TikTok, it's just the mental wraparound. And so only YouTube I'm really starting to now take seriously and post on that. But yeah, I was a bit held back by the whole mental side of things.
Solid. Then we'll wrap it up. We do have a small gift for you. You
Oh,
probably
thank
wouldn't
you.
understand the context of this T-shirt. Maz, you want to explain it to him?
He's got an accounting background, isn't
That's true.
ETF, so
Do you know what an ETF is?
Yeah.
Maz, share it. Go ahead. Share the
So-
story behind it.
the Hijaz Group, in October this year, we launched Australia's first Islamic or Sharia-compliant ETFs on the
Oh, wow.
ASX. Yeah, so all of a sudden now you have Islamic products available on the ASX, and to commemorate that, we created 23 of these T-shirts,
Very nice.
and we share them with very close friends and supporters. So we can't
Appreciate
use
it.
one of those, and
That's from us to you.
so thank you for participating in today's podcast.
Nah, thanks for having me.
We will send you another gift though
Yeah.
to somewhere. I'm sure.
I'll
maybe
return
your
the
home
favor
address
with the
or something.
ones I didn't bring.
But look, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
Ali, it's honestly, I actually didn't expect you to be so open to the idea of the podcast, because was one thing I realized. I'm in a rant, have a little small rant here.
I exactly know where
But
this
man,
is going.
we have been like we've shot how many podcasts?
A lot.
5, 6 podcasts right now.
6.
Because we've just started,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've shot 5, 6. We've got a whole bunch lined up.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that's really bothering me, and a lot of the Muslim influencers, social media influencers, are so hard to get in contact with. They just ignore you. They
They
leave
just
you
don't
on
reply.
red.
Mm.
Like, why, man? It's not like we're nobodies. We're a
Yeah.
massive conglomerate behind this machine.
Mm.
But especially the females, man. We're trying to get females onto this podcast. It's just not working.
Yeah.
I think, thank God, we got Tina, the boxer. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know her.
Oh yeah. The
We're
hijab
trying
boxer.
to,
Yeah,
we're trying to get her on. I think she's, warm to the idea. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, if you ever come across any influencers, I'm sure you do know
Yeah.
some. Just tell them, man, the hijaz boys are out there traveling the whole of Australia doing a podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah,
Bit
that's
of
my
insider
little-
info. They do see everything. It's just whether it's actioned is just whether it's of importance. So
Yeah. No,
I would take it personally if I was you.
oh yeah, I'm taking it personal.
And
taking
it's,
it personal.
it's the Muslims as well, because it's very interesting. When we've reached out to the non-Muslims,
Yeah,
they've immediately messaged back. They've immediately tried to go out of the way to help us.
Yeah.
And we're an Islamic organization,
yeah,
and they it's something that's foreign, but they're like, oh, let's do this. I'll help you out. I don't need anything else. I'll help you. I'll help you make this
yeah.
make this work.
Yeah. To comment on that, this is just a random thought. I'm not trying to accuse anyone of it, but to making it isn't very Islamic. You don't really see that many Muslims out there, making it whatever. It's easier now because of athletes like Khabib and everything.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps, because I've had this thought as well. I've put it to the side, but it's like you can't really be Islamic and out there. So on your way up, you'd be brushing off all the Islamic,
Right.
things because you want to get there. So that's just a thought. I don't know. I'm
No,
not trying to
I
accuse
could-
anyone, but
I
yeah,
think I could
that's
agree
what
with
it
that.
is.
It's a very valid point.
Yeah, and that's something we've got to change.
Yeah.
I've had
100%.
at my gym a guy reverted because of he's seen how Khabib acts in Islam and just how they go about their life and their respect and their morals. So it's doable to have an impact to the extent of reverting someone just from seeing their posts. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't
Yeah,
be
for
a
that
limiting
reason,
factor.
like I thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure dealing with you. And like I said, it is a new podcast, right? And we've put out the new first video of Peter Ball, done very, very well, right? So
Solid.
we are on to this great journey.
Yeah.
And like I said, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy man, taking the time.
Nah, it's all right, my
Now you're
pleasure.
supposed to be eating noodles now at Event Cinemas, but you said I want to come
Yeah.
to this podcast, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you
It's
so
all
much.
right. My
Any
pleasure,
last
honestly.
words from you guys?
It was
Much
honestly
appreciated.
so
Thank you.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, because
For
we're
a
all
young
young.
guy as well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm the youngest here, by the way. But I'm
How old are you?
23. So
23.
he's one
younger
younger.
than you. He's more successful than you, man.
Yes. So I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
what can I do now because of you?
That's it. That's
Yeah.
that's honestly what it is. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're so young. Like, how do you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? How do you?" It's just how it is. If you want to get muscles, you go to the gym. If you want to grow a business, you start a business. You go. You've got to simplify it in your mind and make it so binary. It's like, all right, you're motivated now. What is it you want to do? How do you get there?
All right. To the viewers, how do they find you on Instagram at Chebbo? What is that simple?
Instagram, I haven't stolen the Chebbo username yet. There's a guy from like South America who's
Oh,
got
no
it, and I
way.
messaged him, offered him money, and he blocked me. So I've got to wait until Instagram kicks him off that username so I can take the Chebbo on Instagram. Because I did the same for TikTok. I was
Oh, really?
originally only Chebbo. And then when I got in contact with them, I'm like, oh, there's an account. It's inactive. It's got the Chebbo username. Can you do it? They're like, we'll see what we can do. I woke up the next day with it. So I'm going to try the same thing on Instagram. So anyway, TikTok at Chebbo, Instagram at It's Chebbo, YouTube Chebbo, and then I've got a podcast which I just share random thoughts and snippets of just my life. Chebbo Talk. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you
you
so
very
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call it a day.
Cut.
Solid.
Sure, you have to go turn it off from there, hey?
Thank you for that. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Nah, it's alright, it's pretty good. I feel like should have came at an earlier time, so I was a bit more articulate.
No, it's fine.
No, it's fine.